he had somebody follow him into the men's restroom
my
and was like
God.
hammering him with questions while he's standing there trying to
At a
pee.
urinal.
Could this wait maybe just like 10 minutes? And the
Right.
guy, why? Well, I'm
kind of in the
kind of
middle of this
busy
one.
here. Like,
And welcome to the Riley Black Project, Crystal and John.
Hey.
My timer didn't start.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
There we
it
go.
is. All right, now welcome to the Riley Black Project. How's it going?
Good.
Aside from the timer not working.
Yeah. Same old.
Same old?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
What?
Why does this thing not like... What's going on here?
Because
I don't know what's going on.
It's playing with your emotions.
It really is. The timer's just turning on and off. Anyway, this episode is brought to you by...
Katie with Monarch Pine. Make sure to check out her new website if you're looking for jewelry findings or blanks. monarchpine.com. It's really hard not to say the other one. And she has transferred over her codes from Etsy to her website now. Nice. So you can use code Riley Black to get 10% off, and patrons get a bigger discount.
Oh, so you're going to have to head over to Patreon to see what those are. And also now you can purchase the extended interview section.
That's a new little thing that I added. Patreon showed me that, and I was like, why not? Because
so
like,
if there's a guest,
less commitment. If you don't want to do monthly patron,
right.
Patreon subscription, but you really want to hear what that person has to say for the rest of the interview, then you can purchase just one. So,
and then if you purchase two, you might as well sign up for the lowest tier.
Pretty much.
If not, you can keep just buying. The extended
spend more
versions.
you can.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll take that money.
Yeah.
Also, don't forget, if you're not already part of the Riley Black Project community group on Facebook, sign up for that. And if you're a patron, there's a TRBP Hangout Facebook group that you need to join. It's patrons only. That's where we give all the like updates and anything new
all
before.
The after darks
and the after darks are done there, and anything that you get an early access to.
Yeah.
So now that the housekeeping is out of the way, this is our final events episode.
We did a 4-week series. So we started with Next Level. Then we did Kim and Garrett's Jamboree.
That's right.
Last week we had Steve with PDS. And then now
we are going to explore LBX.
Yes.
Which is, it's not really a conference and it's not really an expo. It's a LightBurn Experience.
It's kind of all of the above.
It's a little bit of everything. And I didn't know that all of LightBurn, all the employees are remote, and there's only 30.
Right.
It's a nice little tight niche, and so our guest was on previous, way when we started. What, episode 50?
55.
Episode 55.
Way back.
Was it almost 3? A little
3
over?
years ago.
A little
Actually,
over 3
so
years?
April 11th is when we had him on the first time.
3 years ago. Yes. Welcome to the show, Jason with LightBurn and LBX.
thank you. It's good to be here.
Welcome back.
Right?
It's been a while.
Yeah. So before we get into LBX or the LightBurn Experience, kind of tell anybody who maybe didn't hear the episode, or maybe they did hear it but they're kind of wondering what you're
They
up
definitely
to.
didn't watch it.
Yeah.
We weren't video
Right.
yet. It was only audio.
Yeah.
So I'm Jason Dory. I am the original creator of LightBurn software. It was kind of my brainchild. I bought a CO2 laser that came with RDWorks, which is software for Ruida laser cutting machines.
Right.
And I didn't like it. And I was a software developer, and I thought, hey, I wonder how hard it is to actually make something that would talk to this machine instead of
that software developers and software engineers are like, I don't like this. I'm going to make a better one. Because that's what Cuddle did.
That's what Len did.
Right?
I love the story. It's like, you know what? I don't like this. I'm going to make a better one.
And necessity is the mother of invention, they say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of hilarious because it was quite honestly I don't like this. I wonder how hard it would be to talk to this machine without using their software. And I had never done anything like it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I come from video games. I've worked with lots of artists. I've written lots of tools for artists when I worked in video games. That was kind of one of my specialties.
Yeah.
And so in that respect, some of the stuff that exists in LightBurn has come from my background. But the strange new part for me was I've got a piece of hardware and a piece of software that talks to it. How do I wiretap that conversation and figure out how to mimic it? I'd never done that before.
Yeah.
And so that was new. And then, yeah, it just got really out of hand. And we now have 30 employees all over the world. We've got three companies. So there's the US based company, and then we've got a subsidiary in Canada and one in Switzerland now.
Wow.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, and we've got employees on, I think, every continent except for Antarctica.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That might not be true. I don't think we've got anybody in Africa. But we've got people in Europe, like in Switzerland, as I mentioned, in the UK. We've got a couple of staff in Australia, one in New Zealand, one or two in New Zealand, a bunch in North America, like all across the US. And so, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been kind of wild.
Team meetings must be difficult with that many time zones.
Right?
I mean, it's great for
languages.
our customers because we have
Right.
support people spread out all over the world. And so
For
if you
sure.
send an email, you're likely to get a response within 8 hours, no matter where
it's
you
so
are,
fast.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
But yes, scheduling team meetings is tricky. The people who are in Switzerland and especially in Australia and New Zealand, they're getting up super, super early, like 6 a.m. for a company meeting that's like 3 p.m. my time.
Yeah, we had one guest who was in Australia.
Yep.
And we recorded, thankfully we're night owls, but we recorded with her at like midnight.
Yep.
And it was like afternoon time for her, I believe. Or I forget what time it was for her, but it was like basically middle of the night for us.
No, I occasionally have, like, we've got a company that is one of our resellers and we support their hardware. They are in Australia. That's Darkly Labs. They're actually going to be a sponsor at LBX.
Nice.
And so I occasionally have meetings with them. And it's the same kind of thing. Either it's my morning and they're, like we're like 12 hours out of sync or thereabouts. Yep. And it's kind of like having conversations with China, same kind of thing.
True.
Like you're catching them in their morning and your evening or vice versa. And it's every interaction has like a full day of turnaround time unless you catch one another in that little window.
Right.
And it's different.
So what were you doing prior to LightBurn and
I can't legally tell you that. No, I'm So I was in video games for quite a long time, like decades. And the last 3 years of my professional career, I was at Apple, working on what I can legally say is I worked in software that was supporting autonomous systems. So Apple had a couple of project initiatives that were looking into using autonomy. And I can't say much past that, but I was writing software to kind of wrangle those systems, basically manage them, or actually operate on physical devices, that kind of thing. Nice. But that was a lot of fun. Like it was wild because the interview for that, there were two of my friends who've worked in video games with me in the past, like 10, 15 years ago at a different game company, reached out and said, we're working on a project that we think fits your skill set really well. And we'd love for you to come join us. What do you think? And I was like, oh, what is it? Well, we can't actually tell you that.
Right. We got to sign a couple NDAs first.
You gotta love Apple and their secrecy.
Right.
Yeah. So it was a huge leap of faith. And it was funny because if you guys have seen the Apple Vision Pro, like the crazy headset, that was what I thought I was going to be working on. It wasn't what I was working on. And I was so far off the mark in that respect. It was hilarious. But,
nice. Yeah. And then you also did, I have to bring up the soap too, because the soap was pretty cool.
Yeah. So my partner and I had a company that we called Fuck Soap. aka the 4-letter lather company.
Yeah.
And we made soap that contained swear words. And that started because, oh God, what was it? A friend of mine was making drones. He was making like semi-indestructible drones for aerial combat. And they called themselves Game of Drones. And they wanted to make a bar of soap as part of a Kickstarter campaign that looked like the Fight Club soap that you see on the old Fight Club posters, except that it said Flight Club. And, you know, same color, kind of the same design and everything, but they had one of their drones printed on it. And they were getting me to mill out with my CNC machine the molds to make the soap.
All right.
And so I asked my friend, I was like, so you guys are making soap? Like, I'm assuming that this doesn't involve like human waste or anything, right? And he's like, no, it's super easy. You go to Michael's, you buy a little kit, put it in the microwave. And so my girlfriend and I at the time were chatting about it and we're like, that would be so hilarious. Like, can you imagine making a bar of soap that had the word fuck in it and selling it to like soccer moms and yoga folks? Like,
right.
You know, and they use it and then the word becomes visible. Like we could prank people and that just, again, got out of hand.
Right.
Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than the Crazy Laser Dad's Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high-quality blanks are expertly sourced and tested and ready to use on your laser. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for your customers.
Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser-ready blanks. Lone Star Adhesive has elevated the industry standard with their premium leatherette, UV printed goods, and American-made products in leather, acrylic, PVC, and their indestructible thermal activated adhesive.
You can check them out at lonestaradhesive.com or join their Facebook community of nearly 30,000 fellow makers who share the belief that you shouldn't cut corners and instead stick to excellence.
Lone Star Adhesive official group is where it's at, and you can use code TRBP15 to get 15% off your next purchase.
Go get you some.
Go. Now. I love it. I was walking with my oldest yesterday, and, you know, it's hard to put on a station that doesn't have like curse words, and he's in this like phase of where he's like super offended by curse words, and I keep trying to tell him like they're just words, buddy. Yes, you probably shouldn't say them at your age, but like, you know,
context matters.
It's not a big deal. And I can only listen to Kids Bop for so long. And so I listened to what I thought was like a generally like mild station, and you know, there was a couple F words, and he was like, and I was like, yes, there was a couple curse words, and he was like, yeah, but it was the F word, and that's the worst one in the world. And I was like, son, if you only knew how much that is like my favorite one, but I have to censor myself around you.
I mean, the level of variety available in curse words, you got to expand his mind. I mean, if he thinks that one's the worst one, he's clearly never been to Australia. Or
Well, and then I was like, I was telling him, I'm like, they're just words, and I'm like, but as I'm saying that, I'm like, oh, there's some pretty bad ones too. But then like he first got
use it with your teachers.
Right. That's what I told him. I've literally told him, I'm like, when you get old enough and you know when you can say these and when you can't, like if only your friends are around, I don't really care, but never say them where an adult, professional, your teacher, you know, those kind of things. So like, because again, I hated how my dad's favorite word was the F word. And I remember one day we were looking around for like, he was going to have a barbecue, and I always loved, and a lot of people loved playing horseshoes at, you know, his parties and stuff, and we couldn't find the horseshoe set, and I was like really sad because that was my favorite part of like the parties and stuff. And I go, oh fudge, or whatever, right? Well, he thought I said the actual F word, and he turned around so quick, and he was like, what did you say? And I'm like, listen.
I said fudge.
Right? I was like, I said fudge, and then I'm also like, but you say it all the time, like the real one.
It reminds me of A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, only it wasn't fudge. It was the big one. The mother load.
Right.
Yeah. I had a funny one. So my mother's mom, my grandmother, was fairly polite. She was pretty proper with us when we were growing up, like when we were still kids.
Yeah.
And, once my sisters and I became adults, she loosened up and she kind of came out of her shell a little bit. And, we got treated a little more like equals. But when we were younger, there were rules. And she was, like, you don't put your elbows on the table, you don't eat with your fingers, that kind of thing. She was fairly polite. And we were in her kitchen one day. She used to bake a lot. And so she was making biscuits or something and I was helping her. And I ended up slamming my finger in one of the kitchen drawers and I went, boom. and like I was so close to saying it. And she turned and raised an eyebrow and was like, nice catch. And like you could see the twinkle where she was trying really hard not to crack.
Yeah.
And
Right.
she thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. Another funny one was my sister when she was little. Her Barbie's doll head had fallen off. And she said like son of a bitch or shit or one of those, right? And my mom was like, she couldn't help but like laugh a little bit because that's the other thing too. It's really funny when you hear little kids say it.
Oh yeah.
And then so you have to like hold back the laugh,
context,
right? And when you use it properly, I mean,
especially if the kid's like 4, 5, 6, like in that range, and it's hilarious.
Hasn't Jackson? We've suspected that he said like shit like in context. Like
he doesn't say it, like he doesn't repeat it.
No. Yeah. We're like, what did you say? And he's like, nothing.
Yeah. Or like shoot or something. He'll make something up.
Yeah. Busted.
Right. And I can only get so mad because he probably learned it from me. Yeah. But his first curse word he learned from you. I remember that. I was very proud.
Which one was it?
Damn it or something like
something
that.
Like
that. Something very mild.
Yeah.
So back on to laser stuff. So, but I mean, if you can remember 2 years back, what has changed necessarily? Like, has your business just gotten bigger? I mean, LBX wasn't a thing back, when we had you on the first time.
It was 3 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, 3 years.
3 years. So yeah, LBX didn't exist. And at that time, LBX, I don't know if it would have even been an idea yet. I mean, it probably was, but Joe Spanier is one of our staff. He's kind of a junior dev, but he's got a ton of CNC and just general machining experience. And he is currently our vendor relations lead. He deals with a lot of interacting with vendors. And when I say vendors, I mean like laser manufacturers, company, people who make the machines and the hardware who want LightBurn support. And so we have a lot of companies reaching out to us now and asking like, hey, what do we do to get LightBurn on, talking to our hardware? And we're trying to make that process easier for people. And like we are a small company. I mentioned we're 30 people. Easily half of those are support staff or, we've got, I think we just hired our 10th developer, maybe 10th or 11th. Like it's still a really small dev team.
Right.
And some of the devs are like back end server side, stuff like that. So like the core development team is probably 9 or 10 people at this point, and 2, maybe 3 of those are brand new, like just starting to get spun up and get their feet wet. So, so yeah, 3 years ago, our dev team would have been smaller. LBX wouldn't have existed. We were just starting to have the conversations about it, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Milmage, which is the new product that we've got coming for CNC machines, wouldn't have existed.
Well, and for fiber lasers as well.
Yeah, when did that? That was probably getting close to then.
Maybe rumors of it coming soon.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Because that's been out for a while now. It's probably been at least 2 years. It might have been 3, but we would definitely have been working on it at that time. But probably still quiet about it.
Hey guys, how great would it feel if this was the year you finally got to escape the 9-to-5 and embrace a lifestyle of creativity and entrepreneurship?
Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, Eon Laser USA invites you to join the Above and Beyond webinar, where you'll learn how you can make this a reality.
Join leading laser industry professional and brand ambassador Emily, aka That Mom with a Laser, and Eon Laser USA's sales manager Alicia as they dive into all things Eon.
Learn about the advantages of owning an Eon laser and get the scoop on Eon's rewards and partner benefits. Plus, get a glimpse at how everyday people who started out with zero experience paid off their lasers, scaled their businesses, and transformed their lifestyles.
So if you're ready for a lifestyle change, head on over to eonlaser.us/why us and sign up for the Above and Beyond webinar today.
Thanks for listening. Laser on.
Bye.
The Riley Black Project is sponsored by Monarch Pine.
Monarch Pine is your trusted source for premium laser blanks and jewelry findings. From large loop earring hooks made specifically for acrylic and wood earrings to laser-tested stainless steel necklace and bracelet blanks, they have everything you need to bring your creative ideas to life.
As a maker, you know the value of quality supplies. And that's exactly what Monarch Pine delivers. Whether you're crafting as a hobby or running a full-time business, their products make it easy to design confidently and create stunning pieces.
Head to monarchpine.com and use code RileyBlack to get 10% off your order. Riley Black patrons get an even bigger discount, so don't miss out.
While you're at it, join the Monarch Pine Craft Supply Insiders Facebook group. It's a vibrant community where makers share tips, inspiration, and their incredible creations.
Monarch Pine, where your creativity takes center stage. Visit monarchpine.com and use code RileyBlack today.
Not tomorrow.
Today. I mean, it's the whole reason I even decided to buy a fiber in the first place, because I had heard so many people struggle not only with the fiber laser itself and being a different beast and difficult to kind of like dial in your settings on things and that kind of stuff. But then you added in a whole nother level of difficulty with the software that was with fiber lasers. Yeah. And I was like, I'm good. Like one difficulty is fine. Double. No,
two or three piled on top of one another. Maybe not. Yeah.
Yep. Then now I'm overwhelmed. And even if I buy it, I'll never actually set it up. And so when I heard LightBurn was coming out,
I've heard that a lot. And, I'm in, I don't know how many Facebook groups at this point, probably 150. It's, and
it's pretty typical, and actually. Yeah.
Those are just the English ones. Like, there are laser groups that are LightBurn centric or, have LightBurn content in Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, French, more than you could count all over the world. Yeah. And keeping up with all of that is challenging at best.
Yeah.
So I'm on a bunch of different groups and a bunch that are fiber laser focused. And I see that same sentiment a lot. Like we'll have people who are new users or, relatively seasoned users on a different piece of hardware, like a CO2 or a diode, who are starting to get, the itch for a fiber laser and asking about it. Hey, what should I start with EasyCAD or should I jump straight to LightBurn? Which is the better approach? And overwhelmingly, the response is just get LightBurn. You'll save yourself so much hassle. And obviously I have a vested interest in saying that.
A little bias,
I have a bias, but you can go out there and read it for yourself. I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. And it's great to see. It makes me happy when, what we're doing is making that kind of an impact on the industry and it's making it more accessible to people. That is one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to do this in the first place, was I had software for my laser that was terrible. Like the user interface was not good, and it has improved significantly since I started. Like RDWorks is better than it was when I started with it.
Yeah.
And I think some of that has come from our existence and them seeing that, it can be done better. And now they have a little bit of competition. They have, their customers will come to them and say, hey, your software comes with the machine. This one is you don't even do this and it's better than yours. Like, why isn't this feature in your software? And so they're probably getting some pressure. Yeah. And to their credit, they responded to it positively. They talked to us. Yeah. The Ruida company actively helps us support their hardware now, which is great. The EasyCAD company does not. They've been a little squirrely.
Yeah.
But it's nice. It's kind of cool to have gotten to the point where most of these companies actually respect us and are willing to have conversations with us, and that feels pretty good. So
yeah, I'd say that's one of the best things about innovation and competition, because if you are the only person or only company doing something, you may not always have the motivation to give your customers the best, what they should have, or making it easier for them because you're the only one. So like you're only really competing against yourself. And sometimes it's like, does that money and innovation, is that necessary when I have these customers anyway? Sometimes it won't really be a motivation to be better until...
The flip side of that argument is, for us, we're competing against free. Like we have to be so much better and so much easier. Like you have to be able to show the customer, like you're getting something with our software that you are not getting from the laser software. And, somebody asks me, why should I spend $100 or $200 on what you guys have when this one just came with my laser? I have to have a damn good answer or I'm not getting that money.
Right. Well, and that goes back to the same reason, it's free. It's included in their software. And that's, it doesn't have to necessarily be like blow them out of the water, be amazing. For the most part, it really just needs to work decent, but
the software that comes with machines has improved over time. Like I think manufacturers are starting to catch on that, the software really does matter and it can make or break whether your machine sells. And so that's better for the industry overall. It's a little tougher for us because now their feature sets are coming up. And so now we actually are starting to see some fairly strong competition from other companies. And so we're having to figure out, like, where do we want to be positioned in the industry? Like a lot of the diode software or software from Chinese companies now on the lower end have software with them, but they tend to be focused on the new user experience. Excuse me. And we are absolutely chasing that market because that's, it's a big segment of the market. But we are trying to sort of be in the kind of mid-level to kind of upper, prosumer, somewhere in there. So going more towards if you started with their software and now you're at the point where you're starting to bump into the limits of it, now it's time to upgrade to LightBurn, where you open up a bunch of new features and new possibilities, help you with faster production, batch work, that kind of thing. And maybe it's a little more robust.
I will say that the software is a huge part of the machinery, though, because like my sticker printer that I have, the software it's okay at best. Thankfully, you're able to create like the design and the file mostly in another program, and I'm able to import it and do the changes I need to, when I get in there. But it is huge that like, if thankfully I have the other software, if that's the only software I had to make my stickers, I would definitely be unhappy in that it was very limited. It wasn't super accurate all the time, things like that. And then like it had to communicate between like, there was like the design software and then there was also the actual like printer software, and they don't always communicate to each other
all that well.
Like the design software right now, I mean, it could partially be me and the fact that I don't shut down my computer enough
or at all.
I'm getting better, but there's still a lot of room for
improvement.
Be
blaming yourself. I mean, I like to that point, we have to deal with that kind of thing. Like, as when you say, oh, I don't always shut my machine down, I don't always close things down properly. Like we have people that use the software in ways that we didn't anticipate for things we didn't expect, in ways we didn't expect, things like that. And we have to be able to adapt to that because ultimately that's our customer base, right? Like, I can't tell you, oh, you're using it wrong. And when I worked in video games, that happened a reasonable amount. Like we would make something as an engineer, we'd make something for an artist or a creative person. And I have a set of sort of biases or preconceptions about how things are going to work. And I understand the world a little differently than, somebody who comes from the artistic side. And when you put a piece of software in front of a creative person and the first thing they touch, it explodes, you're like, Oh man. Okay.
Right.
Like, and it happened. It happened
Yeah.
so many times. Oh, like you hear the big joke as a developer is, oh, it works on my machine.
Right.
Yeah.
And we can't work that way because the creatives are our market. Like that's who we're trying to sell to. So we have to make things that
I
are.
hated that about Glowforge.
Yeah.
Glowforge, they were very like, if you're not using our software, you're not using our specified materials, we can't support that. And I'm like, you can expect people to want to pay $26 for a sheet of wood.
Right.
Yeah.
You say, yes, it should consistently cut. And then also their software, as far as designing, it didn't give you a lot of design. And it's like,
no, they expected you to design elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, LightBurn, when we started, that was the intention, that you would design elsewhere. And like I put in basic tools, like you could do some node editing, you could draw lines, stuff like that. But my expectation was that most people would use Inkscape, Illustrator, Affinity, Corel Draw.
Silhouette
Affinity, I don't even think existed when we started. But that kind of thing. You do all your creative work elsewhere, and then you'd bring the design into LightBurn, make whatever changes were necessary. And as more and more of the kind of diode and lower end machines took off, right? Those are more budget minded, and those people are more hobbyist, more, they're not going to be paying the price of Adobe or Corel Draw
monthly,
or like as a hobbyist, that doesn't make sense. They're going to be using free, Inkscape is great. Or they would just do their designs right in LightBurn. And we used to get all kinds of requests like, hey, how can I bend text? How can I do this? How can I do that? How can I warp? How can I? And we started getting hammered with those kinds of requests. And it was like, people are actually designing in this. We got to crank that side of things up. And we're still catching up there.
Now we're a design software too.
So more so that being a silhouette teacher, I've had people ask me, oh, but like, how do I like do it and how do I get it into LightBurn? I'm like, oh, it's really easy. You just import it. And I literally only use LightBurn to run my laser. For how it is for my brain, it doesn't intuitively work like Silhouette does for me. And again, I have a lot more experience with Silhouette.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So I'm stuck in my ways, right? But I've had so many people ask me like, oh, how do I do this and that in LightBurn? I'm like, it's possible, but I'm one of the importer users. I design everything elsewhere and bring it in.
And that's absolutely okay. And we support both. Like I will never tell somebody who's got 20 years of Adobe Illustrator experience, oh no, don't use that. No, that's stupid.
Well, then you'd have to try and compete against Adobe. And who wants to do that? Because again, it serves its purpose. And you molded yours by what the requests were. But at the same time, if you need Adobe level design, sometimes you need to use the right tool for the job.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are trying to bridge that gap a little more. We've got more features coming. We're trying to do better discoverability of features. Like when I first started writing LightBurn, I did a lot of things that were like, oh, if you right click on this button, it does something, which is great for people who are relatively tech savvy and go looking at tooltips and read things, but it's not great for new users who are trying to figure out how to use the software. It's not obvious. And so we're trying to change that. And that's as much of a mindset change for me as anything else. And trying to do it in such a way that we don't break the things that our existing customers are used to. That's kind of tricky sometimes, but.
Well, and another tricky thing that I think is just kind of how it goes across the board is, the thing that Silhouette calls that tool is different in every single other software.
The name is different. The hotkey is different. And
I can't find it because I don't know what that name is.
You don't know what it's called.
It's called. Yeah, it's the same thing in editing software as well.
Yeah.
As you go through from Adobe to Avid to Final Cut. Like you
Da
can do the same,
Vinci
Da Vinci. You can do the same things, but certain things are named differently. So you can't even find it by that name. Some things are named the same. You just have to find it. But some things are called something completely different, and you're like, well, how do I? This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's called this in this one.
Yeah.
What is it called here?
I've tried to be relatively consistent with whatever the sort of dominant nomenclature is for things like, and it's not always easy because sometimes there isn't one. But I mean, anything that's basic like import, export, cut, copy, paste, all of those things, you use the same hotkeys. If at all possible, you use we'll look at what other software is out there and what they use and try to use that. It's not always easy.
Right.
And so there are times. Go ahead.
What's bowling?
Boolean.
Oh, okay. I knew it was something like that.
So Boolean as a developer is an operation that involves two things. And so like Boolean means two.
Okay.
And so it is addition, subtraction, intersection, exclusion. Like the Boolean operations basically take two inputs that are either on or off and add them, subtract them, weld them, fuse them, remove one from the other, that kind of thing. That's what it means. And that's why that term is used.
Right.
But then we try to use like union means you're essentially fusing two things together.
Yeah.
Intersection is you're keeping the parts that overlap. So where they intersect, that's what you keep. Subtract is I'm subtracting this shape from this shape. So you're cutting it out.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But those are actually fairly standard terms in other software.
Yeah. And like, again, I think Silhouette is more for that like very basic like vinyl mom hobby
crafter type
and so it's weld, subtract, divide, like those are the, and so that was my hardest thing was in switching between the two. And when you already know one, like there's times where I'm like, oh, I'm already in LightBurn. It's a really quick change. Let me make that change. And then I'm like looking everywhere and I can't find it. I'm like, this will be way faster for me to just go back into Silhouette.
You know how to do it elsewhere. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it's faster to just export, do the thing in the other software that you know, and come back. But if you have time at some point where you're not, pressing against a deadline, like that's actually a big one. Like we tell people, like try to stay current on the software, update regularly because we fix a lot of stuff, but don't do that when you've got a deadline looming because that's
what do you mean? That's the only way I work.
That is the best way to cause yourself a disaster. Like, if something changed or if, God forbid, there's a bug or like some kind of compatibility issue with some new library that we've used or something like that, and you're in the middle of a deadline that's looming and it's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to update quickly. No, don't do that.
Updates are never quickly.
No.
Well, we try to make them painless. We really do. Right. And we are like, we test a lot, but the number of combinations of hardware, other software, operating systems, machines, and ages of machines. Like we've got users who are running like Windows 7. We've got a couple of users who are running LightBurn on Windows Vista, which is like, I mean, it's
I'm pretty sure
it's out there. I don't even know when support for that stopped. I didn't think it worked, and apparently it did. Like some versions, and then we've got people who are using like the absolute latest and greatest Mac OS on the newest hardware, and and everything in between. And we've got people who are running monitors on like netbooks that I swear to God have the resolution of a postage stamp, and other ones who are using like the massive Mac Retina displays. And we've got to handle all of that and make it just work. And like that, we can't test for everything. There's too many possible combinations. And, so we'll get complaints every once in a while. Like, well, why the hell didn't you guys think of this? It's like,
because it's limitless almost.
Math is why, because like,
so LBX basically stands for LightBurn Experience, right? So tell me a little bit about, what it's about, why you started it, and kind of what they can expect.
So the LightBurn Experience, funny story, just naming that was was a challenge.
Yeah.
Because like you said when we were starting, it's not exactly an expo, it's not exactly a seminar, it's not, it's kind of somewhere in between. And we were trying to come up with a good name that sort of captured that. And so it is an experience. We want it to be something fun for everybody. We want it to be a chance to do a lot of networking with other people in the laser space and maybe related spaces. We want vendors there, sponsors there. So companies that make hardware like laser machines or rotaries or motion platforms, or companies that sell materials, companies that, are kind of in the business, not directly making machines, but sort of related stuff.
Yeah.
And all of that. And so we have classes, we have speakers, and many of them are from our staff. We have a whole bunch of people who are in the laser space, people like yourselves, like Emily Bank, Robert Kofed, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly.
Yeah.
People like that who do a lot of kind of online media and training. And then we've got a bunch of folks who are probably lesser well known, doing things like laser material safety or laser safety, intellectual property law, talking about ways to improve your business. And sort of, we wanted something that was kind of the gamut of everything from, I just bought a laser and I don't know what the heck I'm doing, to I've been doing this for a bunch of years and I'm trying to grow my business, to, I'm trying to expand into other markets, or, that kind of thing. And we wanted to hit, have a little bit of something for everyone, which sounds cliche, but it's true. And
so there's the speakers, right? And then there's also kind of the like expo-ish.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of it. So we're holding it July 19th and 20th this year, 2025, at the Metropolitan Pavilion in New York City. That's an event center in downtown Manhattan, in the Chelsea district of New York City. So it's very, very central. It's only a couple blocks away from the nearest subway. It's 2 days of events. For $150, you get an LBX t-shirt, a badge, the 2 days of classes, a year of LightBurn renewal, and access to digital recordings of all of the talks. So if you are not able to go to a talk, like, we'll have the schedule posted for all the talks and a synopsis of what they all are. And if you have conflicts like, oh, I really want to see this one, but this other one's at the same time, you'll be able to get access to the recordings after we've finished editing and posting, stuff like that. The pavilion itself is a pretty big event space. So the ground floor, if I'm remembering correctly, has about a 1,500 person capacity. And that's where we're going to have our sponsors and our vendors. So we're going to have a laser craft market, which is open to the public. So anybody who wants to come and sell laser related things that they make, laser craft jewelry, laser related stuff, hardware, whatever, you'll be able to set up down there. The event is open to the public on that floor. And all of our sponsors are going to be there as well. So companies like Aeon, Thunder Laser, Darkly Labs, Max Ace, I may be mispronouncing their name, Rotoboss, Pyburn, so all of the big ones that you've heard of. I believe Rabbit Laser is in that. Who else? Houston Acrylic is going to be there. Sculpt Fun, Algo Laser, San Antonio Laser, Maker Stock, Filtrabach.
She'll be there.
Katie. Yeah, we've got quite a few people. Yeah. And I'm missing a few. I don't want to play favorites here, but that's all going to be on the ground floor with public access. So the public is going to be invited to come in and check it out. And then there are 3 additional floors above that. Each one has roughly a 300 person capacity. And that's where we're going to be running the three tracks of classes and training seminars. And so those are like the gamut of speakers, everybody from like myself and a bunch of our staff going over usage and tips and tricks and kind of getting started stuff with LightBurn, maybe lesser known features. And then a bunch of other people giving talks using jigs, using variable text, that kind of thing. My notes here. We're trying to include a really wide range of talks. So kind of the normal expected ones on using the software, but then other things that are a little broader, like using things like digital printing, UV printing, ways that you could expand your business if you have one. Talks on safety and legal issues, some that are just really cool and different. We've got a speaker who's using lasers to make stop motion animation, using lasers to help connect with and improve your community. Creation of the huge dragon that you're going to see at LBX. Laura Matthews was the woman who created the crazy puppets.
I saw that the first
bird at the last LightBurn Experience, and we were just like, oh my god, this is amazing. We want you to make something for our event for the next one. And so she's making this like gigantic LightBurn dragon with this huge wingspan. And that's going to be like the centerpiece of the show when you walk into the space. And she's going to give a talk about how she went about like designing and creating it. So that's going to be super cool. I'm excited for that one personally.
Yeah.
And like, the biggest reason we are doing this is we wanted it to be a networking event for people. We wanted a way for our customers to be able to kind of directly interact with us. And most of the other events that are similar to this, that are talks or seminars, that kind of thing, are sponsored by companies that are laser specific. And so many of the other events will be sponsored by, a particular laser company, and they will cover their specific hardware. And our event, because we talk to and interact with so much different hardware, you will probably see things that you wouldn't at other events, maybe be exposed to things that are different, hardware that's different. If you have a diode, or a couple of them, which is often the case, and come to our event, you're going to see CO2 lasers, galvo lasers, other hardware, other, maybe you'll see something that you could use for your business, see something that you're interested in. And because it's put on by us, like lots of other seminars or classes have information about LightBurn and usage and techniques and things like that. And no offense to those people. I think those resources are great. I think the events are great, but they don't always get it right. We're the ones who created the software. We're the ones who, generally speaking, I can't say in every case, but we probably have, the easiest way to do something or the most insider knowledge for how to do a particular thing with our software.
A lot of times those people might be sharing how they used it or how they figure it out, which is something I always claim even with Silhouette. I'm like, this is how I personally do it. That doesn't mean that it's the fastest, quickest.
We get things like, as a trivial example, I saw recently, somebody said, in order to get a circle with a hole in the middle of it filled, you would draw the circle, you'd draw another one inside it, and you'd use the Boolean subtract feature to fuse them together. The second step that I mentioned is not necessary. You draw one circle inside another, you're done. That's it. And so that's a trivial one, but we do see that kind of thing often where people are telling how they do it, which may not be correct. And you have to group things in order for this feature to work. No, you don't. You have to use this in order for that to work. No, you don't. You have to ungroup, or you have to convert to path, or it's like, no. And we want to kind of dispel some of that misinformation. And I think one of my talks at the last LBX was the top 10 common misconceptions about LightBurn. And it was things like that. Like if you wanted to engrave an image, you have to trace it first. No, you don't.
Well, and that's because they're bringing their prior knowledge to other things, because basically all the things you mentioned are things that I would have to do in Silhouette.
Somewhere else, maybe. And we try to make things intuitive or obvious, or shorten the number of steps that you have to do.
Right.
Because, time is money.
Yeah.
And,
exactly.
so it's nice for our customers to be able to, come to an event like this and just pepper our support staff or our developers with questions, ask us, why does this work this way? What the hell is wrong with you guys?
Right.
Are you guys going to have a dedicated space set to answer questions like that? Or is it just like, hey, if you see us, feel free to talk to us?
A little from column A and a little from column B. I think we actually, if I'm not mistaken, one of the floors actually has 2 separate physical spaces. So one will be a classroom area, and the other one we're dedicating to like a bunch of support staff who are just going to be there all the time. And so if you have a laptop with you, you can come in and sit down next to one of them and go, all right, here's my problem. You're not moving for the next half hour until you fix this thing.
Well, so at last year at Next Level, they had us as at these booths that they called Ask Me Anything booths, and several people, which they did at the other years, but they did when like I was at lunch or when I didn't have a class or whatever, they'd walk around with their laptop and be like, why is this happening? But the Ask Me Anything booths were awesome because that's basically what they were there for. Like, bring this file that you've been frustrated about for, hours, weeks, months, whatever, and let me show you, how I would do it. And maybe this will fix your problem. Like those kind of things. Those are great because, the higher level classes, they can sometimes do that too. They can be like, oh, light bulb, maybe that will work for what I'm doing. But a lot of times, you can't cover absolutely every scenario for every single person, much like with an update. And so them being able to get that personalized like questions and answers is huge. Just even being there, even if there's not a dedicated space for those questions, because any of us who teach, we're willing to answer those. Like
we did this at the last LBX. We had the support desk at the front, and there was always 1 or 2 of our support staff sitting there and manning it and answering questions. And we also had most of the support staff, like I think we had almost everybody in the company at the last LBX, and they were all wearing the shirts. So, we've got, we have our own like special versions of the shirts with the staff,
VIP.
So you can tell us apart. And if you see one of us, you can grab whoever we are. And I was in there with everyone else. Somebody would come up to me and say, hey, I need help. Can you show me? How do I do this? Or why is this working this way or not working? And it was great. Honestly, it's a really, really good way for us to see how people use it. And it helps us understand better kind of the way people are interacting with our software, the things that they're trying to do with it, stuff like that that we don't always get to see. I mean, we're not in your shop watching you use it.
Exactly.
And that's honestly the best way for a developer to learn. Like, it really is. When I worked in video games, that was one of the things that I used to do is I would create a tool for someone and I'd sit them down with it and I'd just sit back with a notebook and watch them use it for an hour. And you learn so much by doing that. And we can't do that with everyone. And, so this is a good way for that to happen because we will get grilled. People will pull us aside and like, okay, I'm trying to use this feature and fucking twist me hard.
We always think back to, was it this last Eon holiday party?
No, it was the one before.
The one before.
Where if I'm remembering what you're,
Liz.
Yes, it was last one.
So the one before, right?
The one before last, because
because it was for fibers.
You had thrown your back out, and then fiber, everyone was getting like the fibers.
So we had, we were just sitting at a table nearby, and you were, we
we had just finished saying hi to you.
Yeah,
and she was just like there waiting to pounce.
And
no shade to you, Liz.
I love you, Liz, but it was so funny. She walked up to you, hi, how are you? No, anything. And she's like, so when is LightBurn for fibers gonna it was just
when is it coming? I'm waiting, damn it.
Now.
Listen, I know we're having drinks and it's a holiday party, but I need my LightBurn for I just got my fiber.
Why are you here? You should be working on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we've had some interesting things happen. So
save those for the paid show.
Oh, like I'm pretty sure that it was at LBX. Adam, who is he was the first full-time hire. He's now my engineering director, so he manages the development team. Like, I mean, that is ostensibly my job, but I kind of like to focus on development and product, and I'm not super great at scheduling and being organized, and he's much better at that than I am. So, like, we gave him that, and he's great. Like, I love Adam. He had somebody follow him into the men's restroom and was like hammering him with questions while he's standing there trying to pee
at a urinal, right?
Like he's got his unit in hand, and like there's this guy standing there, and Adam was just like, could this wait maybe just like 10 minutes?
Right.
Like, why? Well, I'm
kind of in the middle
busy. Like, and apparently was not completely in tune with what was happening. It was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, because they just have this question, a person in front of them, and their brain just
This is where you guys have it easy because you can close a door. And we just stand inside.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Women are still the same way,
you can
but
close the door
at least have a little bit of privacy, right?
Instead of having this guy over your shoulder.
Probably a little bit TMI, but I DJ'd for a long time, years ago. And I was never amazing or like super great, but I played a bunch of clubs in Vancouver and a couple of raves and stuff like that. So I played electronic music, and I was in that scene a fair bit. And I played a couple of gay clubs, had some semi-regular gigs at a gay spot in Edmonton that was one of the oldest running gay clubs. And I've had experiences where I was at the urinal and somebody next to me checking me out, or that kind of thing. Or you'd be out at a nightclub and have somebody drunk like stumble into behind you or pee on you, or so. Oh my God. I have this weird performance anxiety now where like it is super hard for me to use a urinal unless I can lock the door. So I'll just go into the stall and close the door, and it's like, and the equipment doesn't work unless I do that, because it happens so many times that I just can't relax enough to pee. And it's bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, it's true though. Anytime we go to these events, like that's just how people are so excited to meet you in person. And I remember it was Next Level 2 years ago, I think it was. But like we had a really like rough travel time, right? And we finally get in. I mean, travel for me is always rough anyway, but we get in, and then like I'm ready to like just be in our room, in our cave, like hide out. And there's a long line at the check-in, and we run into everybody, and like I don't hide my face well, but I really try to like be nice and presentable when out, and hide that anxiety, that the social anxiety that's in there, the tiredness, the frustration, all of it. And I remember it was like 3 or 4 people had walked up to us, and we hadn't even like checked in yet. And I looked at John just like with the eyes, and he's laughing because
we gotta be on.
I know. I was like,
and it's funny because I think
it was the second we walked into
and I was telling you, and
the hotel.
I told you right before we walked in, I'm like, all right. Like, I think we were like in the car or whatever. I'm like, all right, listen.
Prepping me.
We got to be on, because I know you. And I'm like, listen, we kind of have to like be on, because as soon as we walk through this door, the chances of us running into someone
people have their expectations.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it was his last one, because our flight was delayed, and we had to still set up our booth and everything like that the day before. So we were kind of on edge. I'm like, okay, listen, we need to set that aside, because once these doors open, you know.
We've arrived.
We've arrived, and so
quite literally, put your game face on.
Right. For some, it could be their first time meeting us. For some, it could be like them seeing us again after a while. So like,
when it's all genuine excitement.
Right.
I've said this a few times actually, that like I had my first fangirl like situation, and she's like a great friend now, but I had almost missed my flight. It was a connecting flight from Dallas to Sacramento, and I literally had minutes to catch my flight, and I'm running through my anxiety is through the roof, but I'm so happy. I'm starting to come down because I'm on the plane, but like the thought, and I was traveling by myself, which is a whole beast in its own. And I hear my name, I hear Crystal, and I was like, no, that's not me. And like, I'm in Dallas on a plane. Like, I didn't think anything of it. And then I hear it again, and she's like beaming with excitement because she's so excited to meet me. And I'm a ball of nerves. And I'm like, right. I'm so sorry. I just ran through an airport. My anxiety is through the roof. I am so like, I had to like fall, and then I could see her demeanor change. And like, now it's something we can laugh about, but I had to like apologize to her later, like of like, this is where I was when we ran into each other.
But I am, or I should say I was an introvert. I'm more of an ambivert now. I do well in spaces where it's stuff that I know. You know, so like with LightBurn, when we do the LBX thing, or when I'm at a trade event of some kind, you know, it's pretty easy for me because I'm talking about things that I know, subjects that I'm comfortable with. If people are asking me LightBurn questions, like that's no problem. And it's never been a problem. But if I am at a house party or something where, you know, where it's people I don't know, and I have, you know, like I can be a little awkward. And I've been at a couple of maker fairs where, you know, in the relatively early years where LightBurn was still pretty new and not a lot of people knew who we were, you know, when in the first year or two, like almost nobody knew who LightBurn was. Like we didn't have a really public face. And so I'd be wearing the LightBurn t-shirt walking around Maker Faire, and there've been a couple of times where somebody just like stared at me. Wait, are you with LightBurn? Are you LightBurn? Oh my God, I love you! And they just go off, and you know you're like looking for the restroom or trying to find the person you're with or something, and suddenly it's like, okay, you switch on. And I expect it more now, and I'm used to it now. But at that time, it was, you know, I'm here at Maker Faire. I'm looking for my nerds, and like,
So we can literally talk for forever. So hold on, let's get the code. So you guys actually gave us a code. So people wanting to go to LBX can use code Riley-LBX 2025. And that will get them $25 off of admission for LBX. So thank you for that, guys.
And where can they go to use that code?
We have our website is lbx.events. And I'm almost positive that it is also linked from the main LightBurn site as well. But yeah, the lbx.events website is where, you know, we have the full FAQ, information about the event itself, list of sponsors, list of speakers, vendors, location, all of that. Like, so everything is there. That's the best place to go.
And before we cut off the general admission people, I just wanted to say, as far as like as a company, you're very active in the Facebook groups, and you somehow like often see like LightBurn posts and chime in. And I really appreciate that. One, because it's coming from someone who, again, actually knows and is not like giving their solution, which may not necessarily be the best solution or even a solution at all sometimes. But I just wanted to say it's definitely something I notice and appreciate as far as LightBurn goes. I think that's huge, because a lot of times there's a huge separation of that, and sometimes it's not even intentional. It's just because of time. When you are the higher up,
time and everything else, it's hard. Like I said before, I'm in, you know, probably 150 some odd Facebook groups, maybe more, maybe less, but I think that's about right. Last time I checked. A bunch of our staff are also in many of those same groups. And, you know, and it's hard to keep up. Like we absolutely encourage people to come to our forum or use the support email address. We try really, really hard to be responsive in both of those places. if you need an answer, the email support@lightburnsoftware.com is the absolute best way to reach us.
Yeah.
We do not have official support on Facebook. We tried it for a while and it was just absolute chaos. It's so easy to miss stuff. And Facebook does not have great tools for managing repetitive content.
Right.
So like we, in our support email system, we have lots of kind of canned responses for the things that are most common as new users or as even seasoned users. If you're looking for a feature, if you're trying to figure out how to access something, you lost your license, anything like that. We've probably got a canned response for that we can just, automatically insert into an email, personalize it a little bit with additional info if necessary. And that covers probably 80 to 90% of what we get.
Yeah.
And that makes us really, really efficient, which is important because we are a small team and we're supporting 700,000, 800,000 users at this point.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of people out in the world who are using LightBurn.
Yeah.
And, so we get asked all the time, hey, how do I get a hold of you by phone? And the answer is you don't, because there's no way. We would just, we couldn't afford it if we wanted to make it the quality of support that we need.
Well, and same with the group. Yeah, it takes a lot of larger companies have one person or a team who dedicates to a group because of the time and labor that it requires.
It's hard. But yeah, we're all over Facebook and we try to keep up. And, I will read a ton of Facebook messages, just threads in various groups, posts. And if I see that a question hasn't been answered or has been answered incorrectly, I will chime in. And we try to be nice. Sometimes
I love the people who argue with you though, and where the next message you drop the bomb.
Right. I did write it, so hopefully I know what I'm talking about.
Software, so I might have an idea, and I'm always like, eh.
Yeah, and and I try to be nice because not everybody knows who we are.
Of course,
and
they don't know that.
There have been a couple of times where I've probably inserted a little more snark than I should have because it was late and I was tired or had a rough day or whatever. There've been I know that I've had a few of those, and if you are listening and I've done that to you, please accept my apology. I am human.
Right? Yes, we are all human when it comes down to it.
Yeah, Jason does not know what he's doing. The correct way to do this.
Yeah. Well, it's like this is one of the things that this is a line we try to ride carefully. Like we try really hard to be nice and be respectful. A lot of people, when they email, are at a point where they're frustrated or angry or both. If you've gotten to the point where you can't find an answer either in the documentation or YouTube videos or in your usual support network for whatever it is, and you're reaching out to us by email, chances are that you are not right at the point where the problem happened. You're past that and you're now frustrated and you're pissed off and you're up against a deadline of some kind or whatever. And so we're not necessarily seeing the best side of everybody who emails us. And sometimes people are frustrated or yelling or whatever. And I try really, really hard to be aware of that and be conscious of it because we've had people who are like, their first email to us and we look, we don't see another ticket from anybody. And their first email is swearing in all caps. And it's just like, okay,
here we go.
Somebody needs to calm down a little bit, but we try really hard to be nice about it. And and also have a human voice because that's something like, I think so many people don't email because they expect to get an auto response or an AI bot or somebody in India who has, who's working from a spreadsheet or a flow chart and really doesn't know what the problem is.
So have you tried shutting it down and bringing it back?
Yeah.
I'll save my AI bot story that almost made me snap the other day for the after part.
Have you restarted your computer?
Oh my God, I was getting so mad. And then I finally got through and I was able to figure it out. But I was about to snap, and I was like, let me.
Yeah, but like we actually have real human beings who speak, excellent English, or like we've got a couple of staff who have French, Portuguese, a little bit of Italian, Spanish, and as I said, we're all over the world. Yeah. We try really hard to respond within an 8-hour window. Often it's less than that. And we want people to know, like, we're actually human. We do work for LightBurn. We're not an overseas conglomerate that has been outsourced to answer the emails for us. These are our staff. We pay them well. We treat them well. And we also want our customers to treat them well. And sometimes we have to remind people of that. Like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm a human being and I have feelings too. And you can't say stuff like that to me. And I will occasionally step in. There have been a couple of times where I've fired customers because they're just being abusive. Yeah. And I don't like doing that, and I don't want to. Of course. Everybody has a bad day. I remember one incident where I was trying to help somebody, and he kept freaking out. He was like, "Well, I paid my money. I've paid for this, and it's not working. And you've got to fix this." And he was not answering the questions we were asking. Like I was trying to get information out of him to fix it. And he's like, "Well, I paid for this, and it should work," and blah blah. And he just kept saying that over and over and over again. So I refunded him. And I said, okay, you've no longer paid for this. Right. Will you now answer my damn question so I can fix your problem? And he was so like, okay, like, that probably never happened to anybody him before. And I was just like, I don't need your money. I just want to fix your problem because I want you to have a better experience.
Help you. Right.
And at the end of it, if I have fixed it to your satisfaction and you want to, and you feel good about it, you can buy it again. And completely change the tone of the conversation. And, I'm willing to do semi-exceptional things like that if the situation warrants it, but it's, like, I know that so many people have had bad help system experiences because I'm one of them. So we try to be different. We try to be human. We try to let people, like our staff, express themselves a little bit and not just be a robotic voice. And so it's fun.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that'll do it for the free portion. So if you want to catch the extended version, you got to head over to Patreon. Either subscribe or you can purchase this one because we're doing that now.
Make sure to do it on the web so that you don't pay the stupid iOS fee.
Yes. Do not pay, what is it,
30% if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So don't spend that. Do it on the web.
It's $3.
Don't do it in
which
the App
is the
Store.
lowest I could possibly do it in Patreon. But if you do it through the app, you pay $4.50 unnecessarily. And that extra $1.50 does not go to us.
Nope. It goes to them.
Yep.
So that's that. And the life update's next. And we're back with the life update portion.
Always a great conversation.
Always great conversations.
As being Jason and I being both like quote self-labeled introvert, now ambivert. There's so much to talk about. Like when I've ran in, was it ISA?
No.
That wasn't
no,
he?
No, it wasn't. See, you keep.
I always mix those up.
Because you also mixed it up with Kim and Garrett because it was the same time. It was at the Eon, that dinner that we went to. Was that?
Yeah, but was ISA?
Was that ISA?
Yeah.
Okay, then it was.
Yeah, I think so. I think it
was at that bar.
I mixed it up.
Right after that dinner, everyone like kind of hung out and like. So
I mixed it up initially with Kim and Garrett for the Eon holiday party.
You're right because it was in Orlando.
Yeah.
You were in Orlando, so it wasn't for ISA.
Yeah. So at ISA we saw Jason, and there's had been several drinks after dinner, and there's a few of us. Yeah, there's a few of us, still hanging out, and I talked to Jason for forever. The last time we saw him, he's just really easy to talk about random shit with for a long time. So and then so what else we got going on?
Well, we ran our first ad.
We did.
Keychain Thingies ad.
Yes. Super expensive for one sale so far, but we learned a lot. Which was the whole point of it. We wanted to run it really just to learn.
So we've talked about running an ad before for Keychain Thingies. Just in general, like one day we'll do it. And then I've gotten the bug of switching over to doing content creation along with managing ads for my clients. So what better way to get my feet wet than to have you as my first client and running a ad campaign? Just getting my feet wet with the meta ad, the ads manager.
Can be it's a lot clunkier than
it is.
I thought it would be.
Yeah, it is a little clunkier and just it's a learning curve. It's like anything.
It's new. Yeah.
It's new, so there were a few hiccups. Luckily nothing with like too much with like payment. It wasn't like, oh, this ad's been running and we got charged more than the others. I will say if you're planning to run ads and you do set the daily limit to like whatever, if you do $30 a day or $10 a day, whatever, those are maximums of that day. So if you get charged, especially if you do something like in the $20, like you'll get charged $5 one day and then like 22 the next, like that's the average that you're going to spend in a day. Some days, and it's all based around the algorithm.
More, some days a little less.
And I did was it an ad? I forget what I did before on mine.
A boost.
No, I think it was an ad, but I canceled it right away because I was being charged. I'm like, wait, I already paid.
No, I think it was a boost.
Was it a boost?
I think I did a boost too, and it did the same thing to me. We both canceled for the same reason. We were getting like messages, and we were getting charged for like messages, and I'm like, no.
and it was because I thought I had already paid for the like the $100.
When I've heard, I don't remember the reasons, but I've heard that boosting is not really
it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't really do anything, but ads do. And I just disconnected myself so I can't hear myself, but I'm sure I'm still talking.
Yes.
No, and ads are you can really choose the demographic where it's going to and stuff like that. So I was like looking at those settings and running those, and I have a draft one. I have one for myself in draft. You guys probably won't see it because it's going to be local. It's going to be for. That's another good thing about ads. You can run them locally. So if you do have either brick and mortar or if you do sell physical products, or have a market coming, a show coming up, you can run an ad that's local within 25, 50, just depends on how far you want to travel or your customers will travel. Yeah. And then your money goes a lot further because the amount, if like let's just use $20 a day on a national level, you're only going to reach so many people, but at a local level you probably can reach almost everyone, or at least half of the population depending on how big the town is or your range is. You can reach just about everyone every day, so like that has more of a turn than so for sure. So ran ads. That was exciting. I got started
finally
outlining my content creation mini course. I've got
excited for this.
Yes. I've gotten it down to about 5 solid modules right now. Again, this is all in the planning stage.
It all goes downhill from here.
Haven't done any script work or like just basically like what the modules are going to look like. So we're at 5. Yeah. Which I think is a good point. It's not meant to be a huge...
You're definitely going to add more than you think as soon as you get down to like the actual details.
Right.
If you're anything like me, because it was like I would cover one thing and then I'd start writing my notes for that one section and I'm like, ooh, this is getting long. And then I'd have to split it up. And it could still be 5 modules.
Right.
But some will be longer than others just because
for sure.
some need a little bit more explanation.
Exactly. And I think I'll probably get like in the weeds when it comes to like all the like best practices of shooting and lighting and all that might get into the weeds a little bit, but yeah, it should cover. Right now it's covering mostly everything from your like how to market to who your people are, how to market to them, how to create the content, and then how to like share and like there's gonna be a lot packed into there.
I'm excited for it though.
So yeah,
I'm sorry for all the yawns. I don't know what happened.
Can't wait for that. I'll be working on that. I mean, hopefully soon. Hopefully not hopefully, right? Because if I'm working on it, it means I don't have any other jobs, right? So there's that I hope I'm not working on it because I'm too busy.
I'm not crying,
but I
am very proud of you and happy that you're doing the course.
Yeah. But I'm not crying. And then I also have a what is it? What did I call it? What did I label it? Not a checklist.
Oh, a worksheet.
it's a worksheet, but I called it something like a starter kit or something with a kit in it. But yeah, I do have a worksheet that you can print out and you go through with it, and not sure if that's going to be a bonus with the course or how it's all going to shake out. But there's the course, and then there's going to be that. So either an add-on or a freebie to join.
And then maybe after you do that one, we should work on our podcast course.
Our podcast, we should.
Yeah,
we can. And this is my content creator. Obviously, my mini course isn't going to be just for makers. It's going to work for everybody.
Literally everybody. So, very general.
Very, very general, but with makers in mind.
Yes.
You know, the just getting started. I don't really want to be on camera. Spoiler alert, you have to be on camera because people buy from people.
Yeah, they do.
And
there's ways around it, but
there are ways around it. You can
generally, but like you can only do like hands, but then you have to be really good at like ASMR or something else.
And you have to be patient because building that connection with a set of hands,
with a faceless account, is
a lot harder than someone who is speaking. And I get it. I get it. Listen, I've
none of us
seen
love
myself
it, really.
on the other end, and I'm not, I got a few extra pounds that I can shed, and honestly, if you've watched my reels, the first few have my old shirt design, and I even went and got new shirts done, partially because I wanted a new look and a new feel, and it looked like to draw people's eye, but also because my logo's like up here, and then I got all this here. Still out, so I needed a logo that kind of like went a little lower,
distracted away,
just covered up a little bit. So so you can do it, but it's a lot easier if you're on. And with here's, I'm gonna put on my salesman hat. With this course, it empowers you with the tools you need for the confidence to be on camera.
Yes.
No, but that's partially, I feel like, aside from how you look and how you think you sound and everything like that. I think the readiness and the preparedness is what's really like holding a lot of people back.
Well, and overthinking it. They overthink, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this. And it's like, it's really just bringing it down to here are the basics, here are the things that you need to focus on. You can always improve and step up your content later, but, here's a good starting point.
Here's a good starting point, yeah. So look out for that.
Cool.
Let's see if it takes as long or shorter or longer than the LED course. But
I hope not longer because the LED course took 2 years and it's not even completely done yet.
And you didn't have it like you didn't really like. I have mine like written out.
I mean, I did. I had an idea of signs, but like I had like a very, very loose, rough draft for a long time. But to give you some insight, don't know exactly what I'm gonna, but it's gonna be under $100. Yeah.
It's gonna be
it's accessible.
Yeah, it's gonna be accessible, right? And it is a mini course, and I just hope a Facebook group doesn't come out of this or anything like that. But who knows?
It's probably gonna happen.
It might happen, but
you know a person who can help.
I know a lot of people. Yes, I know a lot of people that can help. But we'll see where that goes. I just started the outline on my content creation mini course.
Nice. And I just wanted to congratulate our friend Daniel with Alive Pixel. Him and his girl Tess, they just had their grand opening for their local, basically like makerspace of sorts. Awesome. I really wanted to be there. I mean, we looked into driving flights, all the things, and it just didn't make sense for right now. Yeah. But they had their grand opening on Sunday. They were able to donate, I think, almost $600 to a local humane society. That's something they were doing like during the event. They have a poster of yours truly at the makerspace of the podcast, and then hopefully eventually he'll be also carrying keychain thingies, so if you're in the neighborhood, the area, you can go grab them from them, especially if you're in a pinch and need them right away.
It's a great space, a great
I'm excited for them and to see how it turns out, and then eventually go visit. We've talked about doing, a meetup or podcast or something there. So that'll be exciting when we can figure out when to do that.
Mm-hmm. It's and it's called
Customs
It with a
so,
Z, right?
Yeah,
Customs
It.
Z.
So CUSTOMZ.
It.
It.
and
it's in South Carolina, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to find out what city, because it if I remember correctly, it was like on the northwest South Carolina. But yeah, it's oh, you know what? I couldn't. No, I have to go to this pro, because
okay.
When I looked at it, Customs It wasn't like on maps yet. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, check it out. I'm super excited for them, and can't wait to see
I'm sure
where
if you go
it
to
takes
his
them.
Facebook,
It's
if
been
you go
in his
to
group and stuff.
Yeah, you'll be able to find all the.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you
I was just smiling.
Oh, I thought my mom walked in.
No.
Sorry. You were smiling off into the. I'm like, what? Who's here?
I'm just trying not to yawn 4 more times during the life update.
So yeah, if you're in South Carolina, really check it out, or if you're going to be in South Carolina area, go check it out, because it's an awesome space.
For sure.
What else we got?
I think that's it. We're just trucking along, trying to make the monies.
That's right.
So support our things if it makes sense
for you.
If
you're not on Patreon, join Patreon, because those $6 might not seem much to you, but it means a lot to us.
Literally, it means JR gets to go running that week on Wednesday or Friday, and even then, that's only a portion of it. Right. But yeah,
and if it is a lot, and we get it, but there is a guest that you want to see. I don't know that we have it set up for all of our extended interviews.
No, but, not yet. At least we can.
Not yet. But
if there's an interest in it.
But there's going to be an option to purchase individual extended episodes.
Life updates, or not life updates. The extended interviews. Yeah.
So there'll be a portion where you can purchase that. What is it? $3 is the lowest.
$3 is the lowest. Yeah. I was gonna literally do like $2.
Yeah. But Patreon said no.
For each one, and Patreon's like, nope, we need at least $3. Yeah. You know, they got to get their fees and stuff too. They got to get their cut. So we did it for $3. Again, don't use iOS. Go through the web or a computer or your Android.
Even if you're subscribing, don't go through the App Store, the Apple App Store.
But $3, and you can get the extended interview, and you know, a lot of times it's just more talk. You know, sometimes it's about random stuff, but a lot of times it's about, you know, laser stuff, and we just keep the conversation going. Yeah. And there's some really good conversations that happen on the extended interview part. Sure. So.
Well, with that, it's been another great episode of the Ride It Back Project. Crystal and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done. The Ride It Back Project. Bye.
Say bye.
Bye.
Wait, hold on. Nino, I'm recording.